Speaking of not the time for anything, I also told a story the other day when we were talking about famous flop entrances or comebacks or debut. How did we get on that topic?
We were talking about Shane McMahon, who
Oh, that's
in
right.
midair, we were told he still got it. And by the time he landed, he had it and he left with it. He tore
Well,
it.
and then I told the story of former Canadian football great Glenn Kulka, who had a brief flirtation with the WWF developmental program in, I believe it was 98 and 99. He worked in Memphis some and had trained some at the studio in Stamford. And anyway, I told the story of how he had a big match in his hometown. It's been so long I couldn't remember all the details, but that when he was introduced, he to this sellout crowd of people in his hometown, he jumped up on the ropes to exult in the crowd's cheers and then jumped off and landed in the ring and broke his fucking leg, right? And down he went. So we have Mike has written in, he was an eyewitness. He says, "Hey, Jim and Brian, I just wanted to tell you that this moment happened in my hometown of Regina, Saskatchewan, just a ways from where Brock Lesnar now owns his farmhouse. Kulka had recently retired from playing in the CFL for our hometown Saskatchewan Roughriders. The Roughriders to the people of Saskatchewan are like the Sooners to Oklahomans. Holy shit. So imagine the shock when this happened in front of these people who idolized in capital letters the man. So he was a big deal up there, as Lawler one time said to Lance about Playboy Frazier. So Glenn Kulka that night was wrestling, of all people, Don Fallis. And now my mind comes back to this. So Kulka broke his leg, and Don proceeded to kick him a few times, I guess to see if he was still breathing. And then he used some kind of foreign object, probably a donut hole he pulled out of his trunks. He used some kind of foreign object and pinned him for a 3 count before Kulka was stretchered off.
Oh, man.
So
You're still laughing about this.
I'm sorry. It's bad. He looked like a caveman. This guy was a badass, right? So not only did the conquering hometown babyface lose, he lost to a Manitoban. Winnipeg and Regina in the CFL is like the prairie redneck football version of Yankees versus Red Sox. So Don Callis pinning Kulka in an absolute disaster situation killed the town forever. Indie shows here now do about 100 to 200 people. That night was sold out somewhere in the 3,000 to 4,000 range. Saskatchewan was never the same again.
Wow. And as a result of that, the gods of Saskatchewan took away Don Callis's hair.
You know, can you imagine he's standing there and the guy goes down and he's screaming in pain and he can't get to his feet. The match hasn't even started yet. You're in the main event. There's 4,000 people in this building. It's sold out. All came to see the guy that's groveling and simpering at your feet. And now you realize, well, you've got to do something. And then I can see a couple of kicks like, can you get up? Are you okay? And he's like, shoot me in the head. And so he's got to fucking make the decision. Do I just cover this guy that's got a broken leg? Or do I pull out? Oh, my face hurts. Do I pull out a fictitious foreign object and knock him out just to try to save the credibility of the business?
Well, what about what Austin did with Owen Hart, where Austin couldn't do anything and Owen kind of rolled himself up to be pinned by Austin? Could you do anything where there's some kind of screw job and Callis slips and hits the ground and Kulka just laid a hand on him? Is there anything you would have done to repair this?
In this case, Don Callis was not Owen Hart. Because it looked as ugly as a monkey fucking a football, but Owen did kill time by taunting the crowd, talking to the referee, and wandering around to the point where he just wandered backwards and accidentally tripped over Austin, whose limp arm in some fashion fucking went around one of Owen's legs and the referee counted 1, 2, 3. But this was a case where the Austin was just laying there selling a bump he had taken in a match. This was a fucking guy who had just been introduced, jumped off the ropes, and went down like he'd been shot from the grassy knoll. Oh, my ribs hurt. My stomach is hurting.
You think everyone was standing up so that when he went down, like the people in the back on the floor couldn't see? Like, what happened? Where did he go?
Oh,
and it killed the town. The idea that they've never drawn more than 100 people ever since.
Fuck that. Don Callis get a win in a wrestling match in this town. We're never doing this again. Oh, goddamn it. See, things like that can happen. And you can, 30 years later, you can get, a sore stomach laughing about them. But, sometimes, Brian, sometimes you get an upset stomach when you're not laughing. And that turns out not to be funny. Because that's a sign, you know what that's a sign of, don't you? I hesitate to even say these words because, goddamn it, sometimes when you say these things out loud, it's like karma will come to haunt you. It's your gut health. Everything revolves around gut health these days because we've seen it before. A guy, he's a marathon runner, runs 25 miles a day in the prime of his life, looks great, feels great, has a great doctor checkup. Boom! Turns around and keels over and his bowels fall out his asshole.
Well, I don't know if that exactly happens every day.
Well, you got to do something to keep those things in. It's gut health. Your gut's in the middle there where you can't see it. You can look and see, am I getting fat, or have I got hemorrhoids, or have I got a growth on my neck or a hump on my back? You can see all these things, but unless you've got your own head up your own ass, you can't see whether your gut's healthy or not.
So how are you going to see the hemorrhoids?
Well, they dangle outside. You got the roids that dingle, dangle, dingle. You can tell they're there, but you've got to, and I'll tell you what, you think Lanny Poffo had some flexibility. You try getting your fucking head, your eyeballs far up enough your ass to see your own gut to determine whether your gut is healthy or not. And you got to get somebody to do it for you. And then when they pop their head in and start looking around, they're going, well, there's cobwebs. You might need some better insulation. I think there's been some leakage.
It's full of glory and renown.
Well, and that's just talking to the people talking about my attic. Imagine what they think about your gut. So for all the right reasons, you got to go to seed. The gut health is promoted and maintained by Seed's DS01 Daily Symbiotic. We've been talking about this for months now, and one of these days we're going to understand it. But it doesn't matter that we don't understand it because Seed does, and their scientists and their investigative team that have uncovered all the right ways to take things and mix them together that you can throw down your neck and it'll land in your stomach that will rot and let off fumes in such a manner that it will promote all the good things that's supposed to be down there, and it'll run off all the bad things. It'll send them packing. They'll be excommunicated. They will be relocated to some far-off planet where they won't worry your bowels and intestinal tract. Your skin is home, Brian, to trillions of microorganisms and their byproducts.
Well, it's time to pay rent.
That's just your skin. And the gut and your skin have similar jobs to manage what comes into your body from the outside world and then communicate and relay information back to your body's nervous, immune, and endocrine systems. You got all that shit going on, you don't even know it. And if the skin and the gut and the microorganisms and their byproducts, and I assume that means their effluvia and their excrement, if you're not communicating with all of the microorganism shit that you've got on your skin and in your gut, well, it can grow goddamn green stuff all over you. So Many factors influence these things: diet, stress, exercise, antibiotic usage. You don't know what you're killing. You need some of the probiotics and the prebiotics to go along with the antibiotics, because that balances things out.
You don't know what you're killing.
You don't know what you're killing with the antibiotics. You're killing the germs, but you could also be killing other things. You could be killing hair follicles. You don't take penicillin, it'll make you go bald. But if your stomach is in the right shape, it'll referee in between those two things and you'll have hair growing out of your fucking gut. But anyway, back to gut health and gut barrier integrity and gut immune function.
Back to that.
And back to that. The only way that you're not going to just be walking down the street one day and suddenly your stomach you just bend over, throw up, and there's your stomach with everything you've eaten for the last 4 days laying on the sidewalk in front of you. Every day you've got to get in the habit of taking one of these Seeds DS01 Daily Synbiotic. And what it's like tamping down all of that combustible, fuming, contaminated crap that you've got in your stomach. It'll just take the piss out of all of it. Just make it not dangerous. And it'll help the good stuff too. All you've got to do now is go, what? What are you saying?
I don't even know where to start and stop in terms of corrections. There are elements of what you said that are certainly what's going to happen. This is going to boost your gut health. That it will happen. It won't prevent you from turning green or anything else that you've said.
Well, keep your stomach down your throat where it belongs. Go to seed.com. That's SEED.com/drive and use the code DRIVE. You're going to get 25% off your first month of the Seed DS01 Daily Synbiotic that we were talking about earlier. That's seed.com/drive and use the code DRIVE. Now, I know a lot of people have been worried about this. It's all over social media. People are searching gut health and they're looking at TikTok videos on gut health. And these TikTok videos are being made by people that look like that they need some help with their gut health. So apparently everybody's coming down with this poor gut health. And the only way to stop this and get yourself back on the road to recovery so you won't be belching fire and breathing fucking methane is take the Seeds DS01 Daily Synbiotic. You can read for yourself all of the information on this fine product at seed.com. And it's disturbing. And it's disturbing and it's troubling in its gibberishness.
Seed. Read all about it.
Yes.